There were two students called Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette, and they've written a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, which is a must read for any male on this planet. Namaste everyone, how's it going? Today we are going to talk about ritual initiations and initiation of a boy to turn him into a man. This is a concept that originally took birth from the teachings of Carl Jung, who was a great Swiss psychologist, psychotherapist, like all things psychology. And his students went on to actually write a book. There were two students called Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette, and they've written a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, which is a must read for any male on this planet. And these are certain observations that they made that noticed a change between the world today and the world our ancestors used to live in, okay? And what they talk about is the initiation process which used to convert boys into men. So they would talk about that in tribal times, or in our ancestors' times, there was always some kind of a holy or sacred process or any kind of ritual that would put a boy through various circumstances and tests and challenges in order to kill the boy psychology inside of him and give birth to the man psychology inside of him. So making the boy go through a process that kills off his boyish tendencies and makes him tap into his deeper masculine in order to survive or go through the ritual that he was being put through. So these would happen in various ways. It could be that a boy was just sent out, exiled on his own and was supposed to come back after a year. Or let's say sent out to hunt a very dangerous animal on his own. Like you must have seen this in the movie 300, where as a boy he has to fight a wolf and he ends up killing it. These kind of experiences where you undergo some kind of challenge, trauma, experience, tough times, which push you, and if you are not fit enough, you're going to break and you won't survive. And the ones who survived, they were the ones who became leaders of the tribe. They were the ones who became the men who would fight for the tribe, who would protect their community, who would become fathers to worthy children. And these kind of processes are absent from our modern world. Our modern world has actually evolved at a speed much faster than the speed at which human beings have evolved. And there is no process today that teaches how girls should turn into women and how men should be made out of boys. For women, it is still, a little bit of it is still done through nature and biology. Like when women start menstruating, it is quite an experience, and it makes them realize what they are here for on this planet. And it makes them, turn into more of a feminine being. You would notice that there are a lot of times there are these tomboy, you would notice that there are a lot of times that there are these tomboyish girls in school, but as they start hitting puberty, that they start changing. And there are also a lot of girls who actually were not tomboyish, but when puberty hits them and they start menstruating, that they become tomboyish. Those are the kind of girls who are not, being able to handle the feminine nature which is being imposed upon them via biology. So chuck the women, we are not going to, so keeping the women aside, we are going to talk about the men, that how turning from a boy into a man is no longer being carried out in our modern world. So the most important thing I can tell you guys to do is to start letting go of boyish tendencies, to stop letting go of behaviors which a boy would engage in. It could be something as simple as bullying some people who are lesser off than you in your mind. It could be as simple as getting addicted to video games. It could be as simple as getting addicted to porn. It could be as simple as addictions that actually become more serious, such as to alcohol or to drugs or something like that. And you have to realize, in order to become a man, you have to kill that boy inside of you. You have to kill that identity of a boy. You have to, let's say when you're a child, you are always mothered by your mother. You are always cared for. You are always, given what you want. You are always taken care of, and your mother is always siding with you in the fights with the father and stuff like that, you need to be taken away from that mother, and you need to die on the inside in order to come out as a man. And to come out as a man, you have to go through a few certain circumstances in life that actually break down that boy psychology in you and kill it, and give birth to the man psychology inside of you, which give birth to the new man inside of you. So there are a lot of ways in which this is done. Like, it could be as simple as sending a boy out to an alien world, to a foreign land where he knows nothing and nobody, and has to fend for himself, has to survive on his own, has to find a mate to replicate with, all of those things, which will basically teach him the most important things in life via very, very basic lessons, which will kick the shit out of him, but will make a man out of him. Because he will have to go through different physical environments, he will have to go through different ordeals, and if he does not go through them, he will die, or he will, fail, and he will not be accepted back in his tribe because he's failed to show that he can be capable of being a man. So there were these procedures that used to exist, in our tribes, where you had to either go into exile or go to hunt, and these were the kind of procedures that would put a boy through all those things that will turn him into a man. And all these kind of processes are absent from our modern world, which is sad, because you will see a lot of grown-up boys walking around. I even notice a lot of grown-up girls, but we are not being men and women, mature, wholesome, functional, not dysfunctional men and women who are roaming around in society and making it a better, more productive place. It has led to the rise of all of these pseudo men, 30, 40, 50 years old guys, 30, 40, 50-year-old men who do not deserve to be called men, because their psychology is still like that of a teenager. They do not know how to take responsibility. They do not know how to keep their woman attracted to them. They do not know what their purpose in life is. And they don't know any of these things because they were not put through a ritual, or they did not go through circumstances in order to kill the boy inside of them, that teenager, and be the man that society doesn't even just expect them to be, but rather society benefits from them being men. In a nutshell, what needs to happen is that the boy needs to be taken away from the mother, put through ordeals, and leave that image of the mother always being the provider for the boy. He should go and develop as a protector, provider, procreator, and come back to provide for a woman, not again to leech off. And that is what you will see men today. They are trying to leech off women because they are needy. They want approval. Their feeling of manliness is determined by whether they have a girlfriend or not, whether they are getting sex or not. And they will crave, they will supplicate themselves to women for that. They will lose all their power to women for that. And getting a girl, or that is like the biggest fucking thing. They have no mission. They have no purpose. They are not giving back to society in any way. They are not being a man who's helping others who cannot help themselves. So this process is badly needed. And I'll give you my own personal example, which is very personal to me. But I realized that I was still being a boy at the age of 21. When I was completing 21 years of age, I realized that I had been at home. I realized that I had always been protected, sheltered, cared for by my parents. I realized that I got everything easy. I realized that I had too many people around me to help me out. And that if today I was thrown into a jungle, I would probably die because I wouldn't know how to do shit. So what did I do? I did not throw myself into a jungle, but what I did was I realized that I need to get out of this environment which had me very comfortable and in which I was like a king already, but I was a boy king, not a man king, and that I need to go through shit and get a kick on my ass. That is what I knew I needed to do. What did I do? I ventured to study abroad, do 2 master's degrees and study them together, and go to a place where I didn't know anybody, where I had no family, no friends, didn't know the culture, any of that shit. So I went abroad, stayed abroad for 3.5 years. And all this time, I went through the worst ordeals of my life, such as studying with people who were at least 5 to 10 years elder than me, such as fighting for jobs with people who had much more experience than me. There was nobody who had 2 masters at the age of 21, 22 over there. I was the only one. I was competing against guys like 26, 27 to get into some of the best jobs in the industries that we were looking at. And you had to learn how to fight. You had to learn how to better yourself. I had to learn, like the biggest kick I actually got was learning how to cook food and eat, and learning how to wash clothes. I did not know how to use a washing machine because at home I always had people to do this shit for me. I always had my meals prepared. I never had to wash any dishes. I learned how to wash dishes, cook food for myself, and learn how to wash my own clothes. And these were my actually most important lessons. They kicked the shit out of me. And somebody can laugh or, make fun of something like this. But the thing is, I knew that that is what was going to be tough for me, and that is what I need to learn. And those little things that I learned were enabling me to later on become stronger and develop qualities that allowed me to take on any challenge that would come my way as a man and win. And to turn into a man king rather than a boy. And other things that I had to do was I had to, look for houses. I had changed 6 houses in 2 months, and I had just started a new job. And like this, there were so many situations where I was under so much pressure that I used to cry, and I used to be on the phone with my parents, to the point where I realized that actually they can't help me anymore because they are not here. They cannot find a house for me. They cannot cook my food for me. They cannot wash my clothes for me. I have to do all of that on my own. And either I could have collapsed, and my parents were actually so worried that they're like, come back, Sirhud, you do not need to, go through all of this and stuff like that. But I knew that I needed a kick on my ass. And if I escape now, that throughout life, I will always remain a boy who will never be able to face these kind of situations. And those situations can come in any shape or form. And in order to be prepared for them, you have to kill the boy inside of you. You have to become a man. You have to learn how to take responsibility. You have to learn how you are supposed to give back to this world that has given so much to you. You have to learn how to spread and help others with whatever purpose that you have on this planet. And going through shit is going to allow you to discover that about yourself. So I want you to be honest with yourself and ask, would you be able to survive on your own today if you lost everything? Are you dependent on any particular thing or any person, any family member, any possessions? Is your sense of self-worth, for example, determined by what car you drive as a man? Or rather, what you are as a man? Would you call yourself a man? What do you think makes you a man? Do you define your worth by those around you? Do you know what your purpose is? Do you define yourself by those who are around you? Or do you define yourself based on whoever you are as a person, whatever you have gone through in your life, and whatever your purpose is? So listen to your own instincts. Kill the boy inside of you. Stop playing video games. I'm not saying that you can never play them. Enjoy them when you need to, but stop being an addict to them. Stop escaping reality into video games, into porn, into crime, into drugs, into any of that kind of stuff. Stop getting into gangs in order to feel more macho, masculine, or manly. Guys join the army and try to fight wars because they do not get that experience anywhere else of killing the boy inside of you, because you cannot fight a war if you're a boy. You have to be a man in order to fight a war and protect your own people. So these are the kind of pseudo initiations that we have in today's life, where you have gangs or you have military training, and these kind of things which people resort to, because in modern society there is no process left which teaches you how to go from being a boy to a fucking man. People only will teach you that you have to fucking either study, or that you are supposed to live like this, or you're supposed to praise women and fucking go like feminism, or, you know, all this other kind of shit is what society is going to condition you to believe. And they forget that the most important thing is at least teaching you about life and letting you go through experiences that make you a mature adult. Whether you're a man or a woman, there are initiations for women also. There are processes for women also to turn from a girl to a woman. Society, our fucking society is full of grown-up children walking around, if you observe what is happening in the world. Because we think we are too smart and we disrespect the wisdom that our ancestors had for all of us. And we disrespect all of those practices and abolish them out of practice, that they are not needed. Look around you. How many males do you know who you can call men? More than 50% of the kids in the United States under the age of 18 are growing up in a household where either there is no father, or like with a stepfather, or a broken home, mother and father are separate. More than 50% of the kids. How do you expect such children to grow up to be mature, functional, wholesome adults who do not even have a father figure in their life? And this does not mean any offense to those of you who lost your father or fathers due to some unfortunate cause. I'm sorry about that. But it is very important to realize that a child's upbringing plays a huge impact and role as to how that child is going to turn out to become a member of society. And if you're somebody who's growing up with a single mother or a single father, and you're losing that wholesome developed examples which your parents need to be setting as the mature masculine and the mature feminine, so that you know, if you're a man, what to expect of women in the world and how to be a man, and if you're a woman, so that you know how to be a woman in the world and what to expect of men. If you're going to grow up without that, how do you expect to match up to that level? How do you expect to develop yourself to that level? How do you expect to achieve self-actualization? How do you expect to contribute? How do you expect to give back? How do you expect to bring love, purpose, goodness into the world if you have not seen it in your childhood? If you have grown up without it? If you've been nurtured in its absence? You've simply been fed food and given shelter in order to prevent you from dying, but you have not been exposed to what life really is, what a man and woman really are. So that is the little thing that I wanted to talk about today. This topic is vast, and it's definitely worth of further research if any of you guys want to study about it. The book, once again, is King, Warrior, Magician, Lover by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. And they were both students of Carl Jung, who learned this from him originally. He's the one who came out with these archetype ideas for men, that each man possesses the king, warrior, magician, and lover psychologies within him, those archetypes of who he is, and that he should develop wholesomely into a king, into a warrior, into a magician, and into a lover. And he further explains in the book, these guys further explain in the book as to what all of that is about. So whether you're a girl or a guy, I highly recommend this book. And I highly recommend researching more about this topic. And as time and work would permit, I would really try to make another video on this topic and try to go into something deeper. But as of now, educate yourself, guys. But as of now, educate yourself, guys. Help those who you think can benefit from learning about all of this. Because trust me, there are a lot of people who have no idea, who are walking 40-year-old boys, do not know how to father their own children, do not know how to be a brother, do not know how to be a husband, do not know how to be a grandfather, do not know what is expected of them, what is their role in nature, what is their role in biology, what are they supposed to be doing. Life is not about just fucking working a job, earning money, having a house, and eating food and shitting every day, and that's it. It is not about just going through the motions. There should be more to it than that. See you soon.